Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
What's up, all my lovely people? I hope everybody's doing wonderfully. I'm already better because, as you guys have noticed, the audio gear is working. Last live stream, we had a catastrophic failure. I pissed off God. I don't know what happened. Luckily, the rapture came down today. I'm still here. Duh. I'm not getting skied up to heaven. I'm not here for that shit. I'm here to talk about some awesome comic books and to nerd out with my favorite people, which is all you lovely people out there. I have a really cool guest tonight because I already juiced him up in the green screen talking about how great of a writer he was, or the green room, not the green screen. But I've known this guy a while, and I watched what he did, and long before Blake's Buzz was a thing, I watched what he was doing, and I was like, man, that'd be cool. Man, that'd be cool. And then when I started Blake's Buzz, I was like, man, it'd be cool to be that cool. Man, it'd be cool to be that cool. And I might almost be there, but now he's making amazing comic books. Now he's not even in the comic book press game. I guess I should bring him out probably instead of just talking to him forever, I guess, right? Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I've got Comics Bookcase, Zack Quaintance in the house. Oh my goodness. What's up, dude?
Hey.
What's up, dude?
What an intro.
Yeah, you don't get that everywhere, right?
No.
I'm for real though, man. Like you are one of the people. Like when I started doing this, and I was like watching what you were doing, and when you were the one who told me what like logo packages cost initially, and I was like, oh yeah, Blake's Buzz is not there yet. But you just you were cool to me when no one knew who I was, and still cool to me now that a handful of people know who I am. And
oh, you're doing fantastic. Like you're cooler than I ever was doing comics press. Like you have so much going on.
I remember a while back you told me, you were like, what did you were like, that's kind of why I never wanted to do the podcast.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do the podcast. I stuck to press, and I was like, yeah, I like this part like a lot, right? The actual talking, writing and stuff's kind of fun, but regardless, it's nice getting to hang out, chat, and watch the success of a fellow comics press nerd. Because Lord knows we don't get enough credit for the hard work we do. I said it. No. But
no,
man,
it's true. We can talk about that all night if you want.
Well, no. First, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that the elephant is that the Comics Bookcase, which is your old hanging grounds, your blog, your website, and everything. You are destroying it. You are dismantling it. You are murdering everything you love about it, and you're doing it in the realms of a comic book with some of the best indie artists on the scene right now. Like, folks, I can't wait for you to see some of these pages we show later. But Death of Bookcase Volume 1, Zack, what, how, where, like this? You've been working on this a long time, man. Like,
yeah,
I saw
absolutely.
werewolf pictures well over a year ago. I'm pretty sure. Like,
probably right around a year ago. I think I started talking about the werewolf idea sort of cheekily a little bit longer than that. Like, hey, wouldn't a werewolf priest in Texas be a fun thing? And then I did it. Like that was how it started, with that idea. The werewolf priest comic. And then from there, some of these other ideas started coming around. And actually what gave me the idea to the Death of Comics Bookcase idea was from that time I spent on Twitter as sort of like a comics personality, which I did for a long time. And people would like reply to me or get in my mentions and stuff and be like, excuse me, Mr. Bookcase, and like refer to me like I was an actual bookcase. And so when it came time to do this and like think of a framing sequence, I was like, well, I'm going to make the comics bookcase, like this thing that people have talked about here and there, and like treat it as on Twitter. Like, let's do it. Let's make a comic about it.
That's amazing. And the shenanigans. Yeah, it's a great frame story. The frame is absolutely beautiful. I think everybody's seen the bookcase monster. You've been doing. Also, congratulations on, like, I think you've been doing great on your promo Kickstarter. I mean, I know this isn't your first Kickstarter time, right? But like, cool videos, great promo all over the social medias, even though like, I know you probably don't want to be and have better things to do and a cute dog to snuggle with. Right. Like,
Yeah, he's
but
upstairs.
you've been doing good work, man. You've been putting the work in, and, it's paying off, right? Like what are you at right now? You're at 175 backers,
Yeah,
$8,948 out of 600 or 6,500. So you are funded. Did you fund in 24 hours
little
or less?
over.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like maybe 24 hours and a handful more. Yeah.
Okay. Slacker. Like, come
I
on.
know it was. I was a little like, I think we funded in like 26, 27 hours. And I was like, come on. Like, if it could be under 24, it'd be so much neater. Like,
Well, now you can go for and I'm fairly certain you're going to get it. There's a 10K club for like Kickstarter campaigns that break 10K.
yeah,
I don't think you get a
wood.
jacket or anything, but it's still a cool club. What'd your I guess I could look it up. What'd your first one do?
My first one did 7,100.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, but that was different. That was August 2020. So everybody was home.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had a lot of people had extra money. Everybody was online all the time. Twitter was functional and very effective, and like honestly there weren't as many creators on Kickstarter. Like
Yeah.
it was like running a Kickstarter on easy mode back then. It's gotten a lot harder, which is part of the reason I've had such a like cross internet blitz, like on every platform with different videos, little ads I've made here and there. Like I was really nervous like that this was going to be like, I felt like I had a better comic this time, but I had a harder circumstance to like get it out there. So I like really put a lot of like months of planning into this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it shows I feel like the effort's paying off. I've gotten to read it. So like, I let me tell you, it's good. Especially if you backed, it's very different. Even though it has a short from your previous comic in it, your suburban noir, which I always loved. Like I was so when you like came out with that and you were like, I'm going to make a comic, right? And you're like, huh, what kind of comic book does someone who's well-versed in what's selling, what's hot, what's not, what people are into, you lived that life for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And what do? You're like, you come out weird. And that worked.
Yeah.
That worked for you too. I feel like though, like
a little bit. I think it worked in my favor because like it was the only thing on Kickstarter any remotely like that, like there wasn't even a lot of crime comics on Kickstarter at the time. But that wasn't even like the way that came about was my friend Pat Scott, like when during quarantine was like, let's make a comic, let's do 5 pages, we'll put it on, we'll finish it next week.
Mhm.
So I wrote this like 5 pages, and his stipulation for it was like, I've drawn a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, like I need more practice drawing very normal things. So it wasn't like it didn't start as like, let's do suburban noir necessarily. It was him being like, help me practice drawing tables, like, and like that kind of thing. And so like, then I started within that without like being able to use things like spaceships or like, swords or anything like that. We tried to make an interesting story, and I feel like we did.
Yes.
But that was kind of like a fun exercise to like start there. And then so when it came time to make this book, it was incredibly freeing because nothing was off the table. I could do whatever I wanted, and I kind of did.
You did.
Like
you jumped the shark and and landed it. I could say that. I read it.
Well.
You landed it.
Yeah, in this book.
Oh yeah, there's not even the shark you're thinking when I say jump the shark. Like the sharks and apes that Zack brings. That, oh man, the mind on you is like. I said in the green room that there's a lot of smart jokes in here, good writing, some creepy stuff, but even when it gets creepy, you laugh at it, like oh my god, the Border Patrol guys, like he's trying to vote, like, oh dude, like I'm trying not, I won't spoil stuff, but like there are so many good moments, like folks. Like the link is in the description. I just posted it in the chat. If you follow Zack, I've retweeted it a couple times too, but like everybody's talking about this book and they're talking about it for a reason. Also you had landed some great pull quotes from some very cool people in the industry, and the hype has paid off. And now the campaign's rolling and you're funded, but it's still going. So it's still Is it still,
Yeah,
is this part still stressful, or is it
it's
just
still
like,
stressful,
yeah?
man, because it's like the thing about Kickstarter is you can never rest with it because you have this. I like right now. I think I have 24 more days. So like I have 24 days to maximize this opportunity to essentially fund the comics I'm going to make the rest of the year. So it's like we funded a print run. I got a little bit of the money I put into production back, but like every other penny is going to determine how many more comics I can make like in the foreseeable future. So that is a little, I mean, it could be, oh, I don't want to complain certainly because it could be a lot more stressful,
Well, first,
but
okay,
like,
Zach,
yeah.
indie comics and complaining go hand in hand. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Or I should say it's tough to be like too stressed out when we fund it this well. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember thinking, if I get to $9,000, I'll be pretty thrilled with that. Like, um, and we're knock on wood, but we're like gonna get there. It looks like with
Mm.
how much time we have left. But yeah, like every backer now goes to the sequel, Death of Comics Bookcase Volume 2. Like that's where every penny that comes in goes straight to that book.
Very cool. So this, you want to keep doing this? Like, I heard someone, might have been you and David Papose, maybe. Actually, a couple people have said this. Like, all good comics press end up working in comics, right? So
David
like,
says that. David
yeah,
says that like a motto. Yeah.
yeah, because he
Yeah.
did it too, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
the same thing's kind of it happening with you. Like, if it continues the way you want, right? Like, is
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
would you're moving more into a creator focused independent comic, um, using what you've learned, using the contacts you've made, the creators you've met, and I mean, working out real well. Like, you got a great eye for art, and you knew who to talk to, and the colors look good, the character
Thanks, man.
designs look good, man.
Thanks.
It's a real pretty book. And even in a couple like of the gruesome parts even are fun to look at, right? So
Yeah. So that a couple things that was part of the idea that it's like it's tough. Like when you've been doing press for a while and that's how everybody knows you, they kind of like it's not that they want to put you in a box, but that's just how they know you. Like they like you're the press
mm,
guy, right? And so like I made that comic a few years ago and I was working on more and I was going to shows and trying to pitch and this kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, I need to make like a really definitive statement. Like I'm done. I'm done with this press. Like I'm moving into a new phase of the career. So it's kind of like I'm excising this. Like the death of the bookcase is a little metaphorical, like that's my old blog and I'm putting it down and moving on to this. And then I really appreciate what you said about all the artists because like the way I've thought of it from the like I think the thing I've done the best, everything else aside, the thing I've done the best with this project is like I really spent a lot of time finding like after I had an idea, finding the perfect artist for every idea. Like every one
mm,
of these artists, there's 6 of them in the book that I worked with, and every one of them was my first choice for that specific story. Like I didn't talk to a single artist who didn't end up working on the book. Like by the time I would reach out to them, I had a full script and I had like not only did I go through like looking at their Instagram and figuring out like if I like their art or not, but I really tried to get a good handle on like what they like to draw. So like
mm.
Nick Cagnetti, who just did Pink Lemonade, which is an incredible comic.
Oh,
I'm sure
so
you've
good.
talked about it quite a bit. But he's a huge Spider-Man fan. Like I knew he was a huge Spider-Man fan. So like when I had this
Oh, you clever little guy. Look at it'll make more sense when you read it. There's some old school Stan Lee Spider-Man good time vibes going
yeah,
on.
I was trying to create a new superhero using Spider-Man as sort of a jump off point. Like I wanted to do a teen superhero. I think those are fun. And I kind of wrote it a little bit, and a lot of the stuff in there too is like there's a lot of '90s references here and there, and I knew Nick liked to draw that kind of stuff. And I just feel like the art comes back better when you lean into what people really like to draw already. Like if they're having more fun with it, it like shows.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think the biggest strength of the book is like there's 6 different stories, although they all kind of form a full book. I don't think it's like a split up anthology, but like every one of the artists is like really in their element with this stuff.
That's so cool. We've been talking about it enough. I guess this I guess we should bring it up. I want you guys I want to show the chat people that are hanging out. By the way, what's up, Ronan? I love you
Hey
too. Thanks
Ronan.
for tuning
Yeah.
in. He's one of my Australian. A lot of people watch me in Australia. Apparently, they listen. They listen to the. I know he was listening. He used to listen to him because he knows all of us like American nerds, right? And so
Sure. Yeah.
I remember he bought these wireless headphones so he could like listen to our live streams while he was working, like podcasts and stuff.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
That's dedication.
yeah, right. I was like, thanks, man. Like, you can watch it whenever you want, and he like tunes in live every
That's
day.
awesome.
You deserve the award, Ronan. You deserve all this credit for Death of Comics Bookcase. No, I'm just kidding. It's people like you making things possible for Zack. No, anyway, but yeah, so let's see here. So yeah, this is the list of creators here, which is like indie comics, colorists, and doodlers unite. Like this is your Avengers tier list of superheroes going on.
My favorites, man. Like a lot of them are my favorites of what they do.
And oh my god, the covers for this are so good too. Also, and I totally missed it, which is aggravating because you would think visually and stuff I would be more tuned to these things as a reviewer and whatnot, but when the video you have of the crosses blowing out the promo piece, but when you were like, oh, there's a lot of cool things about this, and I initially didn't notice that they were all little crosses, and it's the confessional booth, and like there's a lot of cool. So much thought. There's like a love of the medium here. There's a love of art. There's a love of comic book collecting and culture. Like there's so much in this that isn't in a lot of traditional comics, I feel like, but because of like your lived experience and your comic book making career and experience, right? Like it's a very unique perspective, I feel like. And
thank you. Yeah.
It's showing in the panels.
It's like my statement on why I love comics, but also sort of my relationship with them and the work I've put in and just like why I keep coming back to it. And there's jokes about, some frustrations I've had here and there. Like it's my statement on my relationship with comics and why I love them so much and why I do what I do.
So great too. That there's this I mentioned it. There's these like doors that they joke about all the doors like Zack shut on himself kind of in his career, right? But one of them says like it says like live or YouTube or TikTok.
Yeah.
And Zack's and the kids are like, oh, he's too old for that. And I'm like, this motherfucker's coming on my show tonight. I was like, I think you're the same age. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I always assume you're a little bit younger than me. I don't know. But
are you? I'm 38.
Oh yeah, we're right about the same age.
Yeah.
But kudos for you for being able to be with it. It's more TikTok. Like I get on TikTok and I just crumble to dust. Like, I don't know what's going on here.
I don't
it's
understand
overwhelming.
It.
Yeah.
It's weird. I just make clips of interviews and post them everywhere and hope someone sees them. Right. That's my
right.
goal.
Yeah.
I ain't dancing on TikTok. All right. I'm not. No one wants to see that. No one's gonna see it. Maybe one day, but not.
I'm not lip syncing to like random audio quotes. I don't know where they find those.
Unless you can like tie it into some Death of Comics Bookcase promo, right? Like,
yeah, I'll do anything to promote.
He will dance for the bookcase.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to get more backers on this thing. I just want everyone to read it. So,
but yeah, okay. So this is the frame story that that when the kids go into the Comic Bookcase HQ, and one of my favorite things about this animation, well, there's so many, but the physicality of the characters.
Oh,
and
man,
and
I
even
know.
the bookcase itself, like it has facial expressions and vibes, and you can kind of tell like you can tell this bookcase is smiling sometimes when it says, it's
yeah, we really
cool.
worked on that. Like I'll tell you, like Ryan Lee did this artwork, the inks and everything, and we worked on it like. Normally, when you're designing a character and you send your notes and you get the character design back, it's like the character kind of standing, looking at you, maybe standing in profile, maybe a headshot.
Mm-hmm.
But the like character designs Ryan did of the bookcase, and you can find it on his Twitter. Like the bookcase, it's the physicality. Like he showed me the bookcase straight on, but he also like instead of giving me like headshots and detail work on the bookcase, he had it like dancing. There was like 4 or 5 like the bookcase twisting and moving around because we really had to work out the physicality on this, and he did it all. I mean, like the visual physicality is all him, and it's so good. Like that's like And I remember reaching out to him. This was probably the one I was most nervous about finding an artist for, because how do you explain to someone that like you want to do interstitials for an anthology, and the star of it is an anthropomorphic bookcase that's a personification of your now defunct comics blog, and you want to kill it? Like, that's a really hard email to write and explain to another person. So but he like jumped right in, and look what he did. I mean, like, if he didn't get the joke, none of this would be possible, and he like loved it, and this stuff's just incredible. Like, it was
Well,
so hard not
Mountainhead
to
is one
show
of
this
my
to everyone.
favorites. Like when
I
you
know,
when
yeah.
you told me like you got him, I was like, oh wow, okay. Like
Yes.
Zack came to play, right? Like
We got the colorist as well, and I mean, I took John Lee's creative team for
and
Mountainhead.
stole it.
Yeah, because it's Doug Garbark and it's Ryan's brother Sean did the letters, so it's everyone but John is on on this
Oh
book. And
wow, that's so cool.
yeah, I love Mountainhead. I think it's one of the most underrated comics of the last few years. It's got everything I love about like you see in this framing sequence. There's a monster, and Ryan's really good at drawing like teen characters, which is not always the case for American comic artists. Like, he just nails it, and the acting on the kids, and I love the designs. Like, if you like 80s cheesy teen movies, like, look at these characters. Like, one of them is Molly Ringwald. We had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, there's so much. Like, I love the anthology. I love the frame story, the formatting, like everything was great. But like the only thing, because all the pieces were so great, like that was my critique walking away from it, was like, I want a whole issue of this. I want a whole issue of this. I want a whole issue of that. Like,
funny you should say that. If like, now that this thing's funded, like, the next project is probably going to be an issue spinning out of this book. Like,
nice.
two of them were designed as pitches before, like, as this was starting. Like I always had at the back of my mind to do an anthology like this, because I wanted to play with a bunch of different genres. But a couple of them were started as like kind of simultaneously thinking I would pitch it to publishers. So the horror comic and the fantasy comic in here are both kind of designed to have legs and be something bigger. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, everything. Well, I mean, and one of them already does have legs, right? Like I said, it spins out of your first comic. Well, I mean, they all have legs, but like one is like has already begun. And you still have, do you still have print copies of that? Like, can people snag that?
Yeah, that's an add-on. Nice. It's limited. I have, I think, 25 copies available of both covers for my first comic as an add-on at a discounted price. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I got I was gonna dig them out to like show them off, and they're in a long box, and
it's been a while too.
Yeah, but I bought
years.
the connecting. I remember the connecting covers, and then I also, because you also did right around that first Kickstarter was when you went from Batman's bookcase to comic, but you made the switch, right? And
a little bit before. Yeah. We were getting bigger, and I was just kind of like, I should probably. Batman's bookcase cracks me up, but like some people would come in and think we were like a Batman fan site or something, and that really wasn't what I was. I was kind of trying to be cheeky about it. Like, a lot of the sense of humor you see in this was kind of that joke, but like when you're like pushing Comics Press, not everybody gets it, you know.
That is true. No one gets anything. No,
I know. Yeah, there's not a lot of nuance to the way people interact with you when you're doing press. Yeah.
But yeah, like so, just some real cool, like, it's just the colors, everything. Like, this book has.
I love the colors on these pages. These I mean, these pages I think are incredible. Like, I want to buy that the newsroom page above from her, and hang it in my office.
Yeah.
I love that page so much. My wife and I are both journalists, so like we'd love to have a squalid newsroom horror page hanging in here somewhere.
Well, being from a book you created too, be kind of nice too.
Yeah,
I knew you
fun.
were some kind of writer in real life. I didn't. And I knew she was a journalist but she travels a lot too, doesn't she? Or used to?
Yeah. No, she's a political reporter, so she's on the road. Yeah.
What do they call that? The trail. The
trail. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was on the Nikki Haley trail, so she had to do that for like months. She's home now, so that's nice. But yeah, we're both reporters, and have been for like I've spent my whole career as a journalist, and so
wow.
Yeah.
What do you predominantly like report on? Or
these days it's pretty boring. I'm an editor for a trade journal that's like it's called Government Technology, and it's about how like state governments use technology to like make the DMV better. And it's like, it's important, but it's
Wow.
not.
You're not doing it. The DMV still sucks, Zach.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of what. Yeah, they're not super good at it, so we try to help them with stuff. But when I was younger, and that's actually what this story here is based on, my first job out of college was covering night cops in McAllen, Texas, which is like
Oh,
three and a half
really?
hours south of San Antonio. Yeah, so it's a border city. And that was pretty exciting. I mean, I like so that I'll just talk about this story. Like the themes of this story are kind of being in over your head, and the pulp horror and the death of the local news. Uh, so this character is right out of college and has his first job at a newspaper on the border in South Texas. So it's very much rooted in my like experience. And like kind of looking, it's been years now, but kind of looking back, like it felt like a horror movie to me. Like I was late night in the newsroom alone, that was pretty common, just covering like fires and murders and all kind and like chases with border patrol and all kinds of stuff, like in way over my head. Like I was like 22 years old. Like a month before I started doing that, I was in lectures still in college.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was down there for almost 5 years working at that newspaper. And in the time I was there were like people would quit and no one would be replaced to hire them. So we had all these empty desks. Like the editors were like taking night classes to try to get an MBA so they could get a better, different job, like in the newsroom, like it was nuts. Like, so it was kind of like a two-pronged horror thing. Like the newspaper was dying and there was also scary stuff outside. And so I combined that with my love of like really pulpy monster horror. And that's what we got here. And that's what this werewolf priest story is about.
Which I very much yeah, it was cool. And it was, I've been in not a newsroom, but just, I mean, really any, like a lot of these weird corporate places, schools too. My dad used to be a maintenance man at my school, and like just like after, when everybody's gone and the lights are off, right, and the only lights on at night are like the
Yeah.
floodlights and the exit lights,
It's
and
a
there's
weird, scary feeling, right?
yeah,
Like,
and
it
those
really
the
chills you.
echoes, like yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there's like it doesn't take like a big the room doesn't have to be like that big if it's real quiet to like echo and mess with you, and then like so yeah, it's funny, like you get into these big empty spaces and that fear of like, you would think we would like that as humans, like, oh, like yes, I like, sometimes I do like my solitude and want to be alone, but like you get into these big empty spaces and this fear comes on and it's just like, I'm not alone, and it's like, like it's, I don't know, we're just
There
weird
yeah,
creatures.
there's something chilling about being in a space that's meant for a lot of people at a different time of day, but you're the only
Yeah.
one left there. Like it plants an idea in your head that there's something else here even when there's not. And so I think that's like really scary, and it's like uh you can like manifest these like monster ideas really easily when you're like walking through a closed school at night, or like
Hmm.
the only one left at work, and like you hear a sound or something. It could be anything, like I've always thought that's really scary.
And then you're like, what if I die here?
Yeah.
Like, let me die anywhere else. But we used to joke at the bar, if anything ever happened that was like bad, we'd drag whoever outside so we didn't die in Charlie Hooper. It's like, anyway, things you do to make it through a shift, right? No, it's like,
Like I am not dying in
yeah,
here.
I'm not giving these people that. Yeah. Anyway, luckily that someone did die in the bar one night, but they didn't work there. That was crazy. It was right after a Chiefs game on Christmas.
Oh
Dude,
no.
yeah, it
On
was great.
Christmas. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve technically, but actually it was after midnight. No, it was Christmas. That was crazy. I should write a short watching someone die right across from the countertop while you're washing dishes at the bar story, because that happened.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought, and then like, dude, these nursing, I worked with a couple nurses. They were in nursing school, and like they were even working on him, like giving him CPR and stuff till the ambulance got there. It was nuts. Like,
Man, how old were you? Were you like
I was probably 32.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was after 30s.
Yeah, there's something about like when you're in your early 20s and you don't really understand that bad things happen all the time yet, when it
Yeah.
makes it extra hard, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was wondering, like I think as you get a little older, you're like, oh, this is of
Yeah, no,
course this is
I was
happening.
like,
It's
eh.
like,
I was like,
yeah, yeah,
sucks for you
yeah.
guys. I was like, please pay his tab. No, I didn't. I'm just, that did not happen. I did not do that. Like it was,
No, no,
but yeah, it was no, it was what was crazy was really it happened, and I mean like, dude, the bar is like 4 deep because it was like a Chiefs holiday playoff game, right? So
shoulder to
all these people,
shoulder, like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So all these people come in after, and literally the whole bar shuts down. Everybody backs up, right? The like her name was Grace, and she's like pumping on his chest, like trying to do CPR and stuff. And like we're telling everybody to mess up. I got like a stack of dishes because we're so busy, right? So like finally the drinks aren't being ordered, so I'm like, we gotta wash these fast. So I'm trying to like clear out these dishes. All this happens like right in front of me. And this little college girl comes up, right? And she's like, I ordered lemon drops like 20 minutes ago. And we're like, are you serious? And this bartender I was working with, Julie, she was like, just get the fuck out of here. Just kicks her out for ordering a drink, you know. And then she's like, I'll leave a review on Yelp. And I was like, there's a guy died. And you're like talking about Yelp. Anyway, right? That's basically like me getting out of that industry is like Zack getting out of comics press and making up. It's the same thing.
Nobody died, yeah, but it felt like it.
Nobody died on the outside. Just
Yeah,
on the inside.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
the soul crushing weight.
Comics
but no,
press is tough. Like it's not.
hard.
There's almost no. There was no money for me. I was losing money. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then it was like it's also like weirdly like easy to take it personal, like when you're like you think you put so much work into your site and you think more and more people should be paying attention, and it's like it's just really hard to get any traction with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the thing with comics like press and is just like you're never going to kind of get everything out of it. Like it's never going to feel like the amount of work you're putting in is equal to what's coming back, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I got with it.
And what sucks is everybody tells you they're like it's it's a necessary thing, and the people that are good at it, you really do gotta love it because oftentimes like it is thankless. And I'm lucky, like I got to where I got, and I got some work out of it, like doing press stuff and
Yeah,
PR
you're
stuff
doing a
for
lot of
people.
really cool stuff.
So
Yeah.
like I mean I got lucky, but not a lot of people do, right? And so it is hard, and yeah,
I always think
I
of it
see
like
people, and I think of you. I think of you.
I always think of it like a tourist service. Like you do it for a few years, you do it as well as you can, and then it's like people should thank you, shake your hand, and be like, "Thank you for your service." Like
Yeah.
you're done now. Like take a seat. Like where you can relax.
Yeah. Yeah. Go make comics, or
That's what I want to do. Or like whatever you want, whatever brought you. Like if you want to be a retailer or whatever brought you to it in the first place.
Oh yeah.
Try to move on towards that. You know.
Did
I know.
you always know you wanted to do this? Like writing's been your career for a while, right? And you obviously you love this medium, and you love
Yeah.
comics. You love reading them. You love collecting them. You put your heart and soul into it. Was that always like on the back burners? Like I'm gonna write one of these one day.
Yeah, so like my trajectory was like I always wanted to write comics, like even as a kid. I've been into comics since I was like 9 or 10 years old. Like I had subscriptions to the Marvel comics that used to come in the mail, like with
When
the
they
little
folded them in the envelopes? No,
no,
like,
no. By the time I think that was a little bit before my time. By the time I got them, they came in the mail like with they were beat to hell, but they were like kind of wrapped, and you'd like open it like a bag of cereal and take the comic out with a backer. You
oh
know?
wow.
So like I had a subscription to like Amazing Spider-Man and Uncanny X-Men and stuff as a kid, and then when I got my own money a little bit, I'd like go to the shop and buy them and stuff. And I always wanted to make comics. I drew when I was younger too, and then I kind of got away from it. And as I went into college and I was studying journalism, I started writing short stories. So I was always writing fiction. Like
Mhm.
you did a creative writing MFA, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
dropped out of a creative
Oh,
writing.
okay. But you were drawn.
Thanks for bringing that up, Zach. No,
sorry.
I bring it up all the time, so don't worry. I'm just messing around. But yeah, I was a little word slut. Still am. I still tinker.
You can't lose it. Like you
Yeah.
can't if you're gonna ever start a writing program, you're always gonna want to write. But like
Mhm.
I spent my 20s like writing short story, like like I wanted to be like a literary writer through a lot of my 20s, and I had a few short stories published.
Mhm.
And then as I got more like as I started to get towards the end of my 20s and my early 30s, I was like drawn back to comics because it's more fun. Like literary world can be a little stuffy, you know. Like, and I had been reading comics because they started to have them like you couldn't go into a library without finding them. That's what got me back into it.
Okay.
Uh, like I went to the public library in like 2012 or something, and they had Saga Volume 1 on an end cap, and I was like, what is this? And that's what pulled me right back in. And then so like I started to write comics before I'd even done my blog. I was like trying to like I wrote a script for the Top Cow talent hunt or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I forget what year that was, but I sent that in, and I liked it. Like I enjoyed writing that, and I felt like, if I got to know the industry a little bit and paid some dues, I feel like I could really like make a run at this. So part of the like reason I started my blog was I wanted to like familiarize myself with the industry, learn how writers and artists got connected, learn like you were talking about earlier what sells and what doesn't, and just like basically pay some dues. Like I didn't want to just show up in comics and be like, hey everyone, I'm a writer, read my stuff. Like I feel like that's a little like rude almost. Like I wanted to be part of the community and contribute as well. And then like now I'm showing up and being like, hey everyone, read my stuff. But I feel like I've earned that right to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because I did this blog for like 5 years, man.
Do you ever miss, dude? Like, because even sometimes when I get mad and I'm like, I'll be done with everything, set it
I
on
do
fire.
miss it.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say like,
At times, but I still contribute to the beat. Like I have
yeah,
a good
that okay.
relationship with Comics Beat, and I still the thing I like most about what I did with Comics Bookcase was this column, Top Comics to Buy, where I would read about 20 books that were coming out every week and pick my 5 favorites and recommend them. And I still
Mm-hmm.
do that. Like I just love and that's also how you maintain your status on press lists to get the free comics. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
so it like helps me stay abreast of what's coming out and like know what I like and what like a lot of the stories in this book too were like that's how I knew I like Nick's work so much, or that's how I knew like if I was going to do a Texas horror comic to take it in a pulpier direction rather than something realistic, because that Texas Blood was already doing that as about as well as you possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these stories were kind of informed by like just being like hyper into what's coming out right now. Like they're my like trying to contribute, to the market we have.
Yeah. So before we go into this Nick Cagnetti short, which I loved this and I love Nick's art and I love Nick and he's awesome and it's so cool. Like I kind of hate you for doing a comic with because that's just cool. No, but is because of how comics work. I know most people probably know this, but like this was new to me. Like when I came onto the scene, when I started doing interviews and finding out like, oh, you've been working on this book for like 2 years or what, like, or this
Yeah.
and this, it's a little bit different with Kickstarter. Right. But like the comics move very slow. Right.
Very so slow. Yeah.
So even if you do like, you're like, this is selling hot. This is hot now, or like, there's nothing, there's no better Western out right now than what Chris
Yeah.
and Chris, I can't talk what they're doing over on that Texas Blood. But by the time stuff starts to come out, right, the market is in it's because it's in a continuous flux, right? So like,
Yeah.
but it's not, there are still trends and people obviously stay popular and we follow. So, part of it is just like I said earlier, you got a good eye for art, but like, what do you see like when you saw some of these artists, right? And you were like, ooh, there's a timelessness to that. And like, this is sexy now. It's going to be sexy tomorrow. It's going to be sexy in a year and a half when the Kickstarter goes. Cause like,
Yeah.
that's some deep nerd indie comic seer power, dude. Like that's impressive.
I mean, there's a different story behind each of the artists, right? Like how I know them and how I came to work with them and
Mhm.
what drew me to them. But I think one like unifying thing that kind of speaks to what you're talking about is just following their sort of commitment to their craft. Like every one of all 6 of these artists are people who are always working, always putting out commissions or whatever. Like they're just really into the medium and have a long track record of it and are like producing like pretty steadily, um to the point where it's like, I mean, I don't know what's going to be trendy, like nobody does, but I know they're really that they're all committed to like developing their work, and just like I just think like you can, by like watching somebody's Instagram or seeing what they're working on, like you can just tell like that they have more, like they have a sort of like, it's almost like an ineffable storytelling ability. Like there's just some kind of like something's clicking right now, right? Like with what they're putting out. And that's what, I mean, Nick, like what he did with Pink Lemonade was just like, it had an energy to it that I knew whatever he was working on next was going to be amazing. And I was like, I felt like it was a moonshot to even ask him if he wanted to collaborate on a short. You know, I was like in disbelief that he was down to do this. So yeah, and I really felt that way about all the artists, maybe except for Pat, because we're buds, like we're friends and we'd made a comic together. I was pretty sure he'd be down to continue the story. But I also didn't know, like to be honest, like I didn't know if he'd want to do more in that world. So that I had to ask him as well. But yeah, like it's a nerve-wracking thing, man. Like because I like without a track record or like being like a bankable name or something, like I'm working on the script before I've gotten a collaborator on board because I want to be able to show them what they'd be drawing before we start like going back and forth, you know.
Okay.
So it's a nerve-wracking thing when you get that you put a lot of work in and then you're writing that final email to be like, hey, do you want to do this? Like you're really putting yourself out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's because well, like, what if they might say no, right? And they
Yeah,
might
they
say
could.
no nicely, or I guess it's comics, right? So they may not just say anything, right? They may just be like, I'll just
That's a
just won't
possibility.
reply.
Yeah.
I guess that's more of an editor thing. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I mean, it's not. They do that, but what anyways, ha ha ha, comics. But no,
I think most artists would I mean, like I said, all 60s were my first choice, but I think we talked to different colorists for a couple of them who weren't
okay,
available, and nobody just totally ignored reaching out. That is
nice.
more of an editor thing. Like,
The more
like I
you
said,
know.
like I said, I pitched a couple of these different places, so
I thought you did. I thought you shopped some stuff around. Now, some things. I know it's different with anthologies, but also like you're about to have like two nice looking books, right? And
yeah,
this one you're gonna have like a perfect bound one. We'll talk about that deluxe edition
yeah,
that you're doing later. But like you're gonna have a almost a 50-page like deal of anthology with some hot indie comic writers with some smart writing with some cool back matter. You've fulfilled before. You've done a Kickstarter campaign before, right? So like
yeah.
that part you're familiar. You've been there. You know how to do that part right. The
Yeah.
comics he shipped last time. He ships in mailers. He does it. He
Gemini
listens. He knows.
mailers, bagged and boarded,
Yeah.
like 2 layers of tape, probably an annoying amount of tape. So, because I hate when they bounce around and the corners get ruined on books.
Yeah,
So
you
like
got to
I go hard with the tape.
tape them to that cardboard flap.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
easy. And if you really want to nerd out, you get painter's tape. It peels real easy. And if you really want to get good eBay feedback, I don't think I would ever do this for a Kickstarter campaign because it's too much. But when I sell comics on eBay, sometimes I tab the tape, like roll it so you can like grab it and peel it.
That's
And
really considerate of you. Yeah, I never do that.
yeah, it was when I sold my Something Is Killing the Children books for a whole bunch of money.
Oh,
When I was
nice. Yeah, I'm
broke.
sure.
And then of course, like if I would have waited another month, I probably could have almost doubled what I got. But then
It's
if I would
always
have
like
waited,
that though. Like
yeah, like 2 months, I wouldn't have gotten shit. Like so
that's
it's
the thing.
crazy.
Yeah, like I actually think waiting longer costs you money every time. Like that's my
Right?
theory. Like I have 5 issues of that Batman Damned with the Batwing just in one of these cabinets, and nobody wants that anymore. But if
Oh,
I would
that's
have
so
sold that
cool.
the first week it was out, I could have got $500 for
Yeah,
like
they're $100 a
$100 an
pop,
issue.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody wanted that bat dick.
Then they were just like, "Oh, Batman's penis is on the internet. Like we can
Yeah,
look at it whenever we want." Like,
yeah.
nobody wants it now. But
That was what a wild time, man. Like just
I remember like that story broke. This was a thing I was in comics press, so I knew ahead of time that they weren't gonna. The news came down that like they're not gonna print it anymore. So I drove to my LCS and bought 5 issues of Batman Damned. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna get a lot of money for this, and I still have them. I've moved
oh
3
man, that's
times, and I
funny.
still have those.
That's so funny. I always worry about that too. There was a Rogue action figure that came out last year, had David Nakayama's art. David Nakayama did some box art for some of the X figures
Yeah.
that came out. And the Rogue figure, no one could find it. They were selling for like $60 on Amazon. And I went to Target and Target had like 8 of them for $15. And I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I was like, I'm going to have 8 boxes of Rogue figures. Like, no, I'm going to get stuck with them because I don't have that luck because I would buy them. I would take pictures and make the post online, and then like as soon as I upload to like eBay, the new Marvel Legends shipment would come in or whatever, right? And it'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a rogue refresh, like go get it. So yeah, I
You
don't.
you got to know yourself with this stuff. Like I went to New York Comic Con with a friend who's like really good and savvy about selling stuff online, and we were at the
Yeah.
same panel, and they gave out some ash can or other, and I was just like, here, you take it. Like you'll make money on it. It'll just sit at my house, and I'll throw it away in 2 years. Like, you know.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand ash. I mean, I understand ash cans and their premise. I don't understand how sometimes their market value skyrockets and
It's
sometimes
just
it
because, yeah,
doesn't.
they only make 100 of them or whatever and pass them out at a con or
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's the limited number I think that gets people.
Okay.
Um,
Well, yeah. Speaking of, speaking of getting people, there we go. We can segue into this. Speaking of getting people, this Nick Cagnetti art is sure to ensnare you. That was bad. I'm sorry. I just probably cost you backers. No, but
No.
I love that you brought some AI discourse into the take here.
Yeah, and it's anti-AI. Like, trust me.
Yeah,
It's a satire of people who are excited about AI.
yeah. And it's very like the humor. Everyone tells me like humor is hard to pull off, right? And the people that do it are like that. I've noticed like interviewing people like naturally funny, good at working, good at working a room full of people. And I feel like you as you like press you and journalist you. Like I feel like you're kind of in that kind of sweet spot too, right? I feel like you
Oh,
know how
thank
to
you.
read and
Yeah.
work people, and you also know how to read and work, a joke, and they land really well here.
Thank
Your
you.
artists help a lot. Your team is good. Like you guys are like all on the right punchline, and you just each of you know the blocks that you have to like assemble to get there. And
Well, yeah, I
you
think
do
I
it.
think that's what drew us to each other a lot. Like that's what I saw in their work that I liked was kind of a playfulness, and I
Okay.
think that's why they all said yes because they looked at the script and they're like, "There's laughs in here. This is fun." Like it's not. I mean, I like comics that don't take the medium. I mean, I like comics that do take the medium very seriously, and I take the medium very seriously. But I also think comics should have some laughs and can be funny. And like
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of my favorite comics get goofy in places. And I didn't set out with any of these to be like, this is gonna be funny. Like I'm gonna write jokes into this one. But I couldn't help myself. Like it just kind of crept in. And I think people have really responded well to the humor in this, and I think that's why that I didn't force any of it. And it was stuff that I couldn't. Like there were bad jokes that got cut. Like trust me, like the stuff that's in there, like I could not bring myself to cut it out. Like the girl with the dog cracks me up in that that panel right
Oh yeah.
there. Yeah.
I was looking. Did your dog make it into?
No, he didn't.
Man.
Maybe next. There's dogs in the first two stories, and the next door. There's dogs in half the book, but there's no cameo for Roto, my dachshund. He's not in it, but
He's
he's all
so
over the
God.
internet. Like you
That
can
is
find
true.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he
He's
doesn't have his own account, but he's all over my accounts.
Zack's worth following just for that dog. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. I
yeah.
remember, dude, I remember when you I like how we've like never really like met, but like I've followed
Yeah.
him for so long, but
We've
you guys
interacted
like
a lot, but we've never. This is like
yeah.
the first time we've had a conversation.
Yeah, this is the first time we've like talked
Yeah.
other than like like messages. Yeah. But you knew you were getting him for a while, like you had him picked out and you had to get to like the age before you can bring him home and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. We got him as a
and
puppy.
you
He
got
was a
like
pandemic
the
puppy.
furniture
Yeah.
ramps and like all
Uh-huh.
the
Which he
dude.
doesn't use, by the way. He jumps over them. It's
Oh
like-
really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, he did when he was small. He used the furniture ramps because he's a dachshund. He's not supposed to jump off the furniture because of his back.
Yeah.
But
He
like,
doesn't
they're so
listen.
stubborn, man. Like dachshunds are the most stubborn breed of dog. Like, I think as he gets older, he'll start using them again. But now he just runs everywhere and jumps on everything. So like, can't stop him. He's got a
Yes.
iron will.
Such just a very cool and man, like how terrible is it? I now I've noticed I've always had like pretty cute dogs, but like Bruce is highly photogenic, him and his stupid face and his giant ears and like and I just like like anytime like I'll be in the middle of anything and I'm like gotta stop, take pictures of my dog, and
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like do you have the same problem? You're like no
Yeah.
like
My phone is like I remember there's like that joke in Love Actually, where she's like, "They're all of me." She sees the videos that guy was taking,
Mm,
and I remember someone posting that of like my dog seeing my phone. Like,
yeah.
they're all of me. Like that's how my phone is. It's just like loaded with photos of my dog, and it's like it's really hard because like I was saying, dachshunds are really stubborn, and you really need to be strict with them to like uh it to be consistent. But he's so adorable, it's really hard to not just
Can't
spoil
yell
him
at
all the
him. Yeah,
time for
it
doing
sucks.
nothing. Yeah, yeah, it sucks.
That's what's going on, right? We just rescued a new. We just rescued Coco.
Like
And
days
like
ago, right? Like over
yeah,
the
like
weekend.
over the
Yeah,
weekend.
that's
Yeah,
great.
we've been thinking about it for a while, and my buddy is fostering a cane corso right now, who's very cool, but like like, she's chilling out, but very much was like a shelter dog, and she's like, like she's having to like get her emotions
An
and stuff right.
adjustment, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I thought it was so cool, like they were helping, and like I don't know, she's like gaining weight and being happier, and I think they're gonna end up keeping her. I don't think she's gonna go. I think she's gonna stay where she's at. But they've been kind of working with Casey Pet Project, and they like fostering and want to keep doing it, and they posted my buddy's wife posts, and she was like, they took in 40 animals over the weekend. They're already at capacity. So most of the adoption fees got waived.
Nice.
And some, if they didn't get waived, they got highly discounted. So like we ended up, Coco cost us $30. Her name was Fig Newton when we adopted her. I
That's
kind of liked
tough.
Fig, but
What do you
I
call
got
her, Figgy or something?
we
in
were gonna
that?
call her Figgy, yeah, Fig
Yeah.
or Figgy. But like, yeah, I got overruled, and then my sister was like, "What about Coco?" And then everybody liked that. And then I was like, "Oh, we can get her fat and call her Cocoa Puff." So that's the plan.
You got to think long term.
Yeah, yeah, and like all our dogs get fat because we spoil them so bad. But anyways, speaking of spoiled, Bruce is neutered, and just as he's never wanted to hump anything ever until now, and like we have to keep being like, she's kind of wobbly and stuff, and she's not like super unhealthy, but she's
Yeah.
heartworms. She's on heartworm medicine. It's gonna get fixed. She's super skinny. She's kind of frail. She doesn't have a lot of energy. So
And
when Bruce, 60-pound Bruce is like comes running and it's like, whoa, dude, like she's not ready for you, man. And
yeah.
so we keep yelling, and he doesn't get it, and we're like, Bruce, no. So like I'm trying. Oh my god, dude, I don't understand how people have kids. I could not imagine having
Right.
two
Yeah. I know.
human beings where like you could mess them up way worse.
I know, because your
and they
dog
might
can't tell
hate you.
anyone.
At least the dog will like
Yeah.
love you forever, right? But like I could like because my
Dog
parents
forget
play
something
favorites.
bad happened within 5 minutes. The dog's over
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I still blame my parents for everything. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you got to.
38 years strong. Like those memories will never die. But yeah, so that's just a deal right now of like trying to make sure everybody feels special. And yeah, I can't, dogs are the way to go, right?
Love
You guys,
dogs.
you guys are married. You just know,
Yeah.
you guys, but you don't have
Yeah.
kids, right?
No, no. I mean, we treat our dog like one. Like, it's like
Yeah.
we're like stereotypical childless millennials with the dog that we treat as a kid.
That's why you have like nice things and seem to be happy. No, I'm kidding. I'm
So I
sure
can make this comic, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
this is the money I have from not having a kid. Like,
a different kind of baby.
this is my child. This book is my child. Please support it.
By the way, I do love this title too, the responsibility, and also I hated that little paper clipping word. He never went away.
Good.
He never
Yeah.
helped. He never helped anything.
No. Like
Someone-
most
my
AI,
favorite
like you don't
meme,
need
yeah,
it.
is the people were like, people are like, you're mad at AI, but you loved this guy, and it's the little paperclip dude.
Like, who
it's-
loved that guy? Like, who
Nobody.
out there loved that guy?
yeah, I can't. I remember the first thing I ever did at installing Office was try and figure out how to turn
How
him
to
off.
turn him off? Yeah.
It's like, I don't need thing. I know how to bold. Leave me alone. Anyway, but yeah. And then this is the dark fantasy, some like dark magic
wizards.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
dark wizards, and also some solid jokes.
I
good-
love
some-
the voice of this character. Yeah.
Yeah. Some good vomit humor later. Like this made me laugh. This one was good. And I can't say it because it would be spoiling it, but the dialogue is really good, and there's a really good, like, the end of is funny for
Yeah.
poor
This
old
was probably
Gold Mask.
yeah, this was probably the one that I thought would be funny in the beginning, like out of all of them, like this was the one I wanted to try to write. I always like comics where the character is kind of smart alecky and like making cracks,
Yeah.
and I wanted to I wanted to do that, especially because I felt like this is the third story in the book. And I felt like the first two were a little more structured. Like there wasn't as I didn't get to write as much dialogue maybe in those first two, just
Mm.
because they had so much going on. And in this one, it's a lot of dialogue, and
Yeah, this was
I
your
think his
like
voice is
Bendis
funny.
era, right? This
Yeah,
sorry, I tried to do the Taylor Swift thing, but
I'm
I
a
don't mind
huge
it. I like reading.
yeah.
I enjoy reading. Lots of words, not as many words. You know, like good dialogue is fine. Like I'm not one that gets mad about like
I'm a huge Bendis fan. Like I would say
nice.
Bendis is a huge influence on me. I like Powers, especially. I think is like a
Ooh,
really incredible book. But like
yeah.
yeah, this was a he's a smart alecky character, and he's got like a begrudging moral compass. Like it's kind of a personal thing. Like I feel like I do the right thing a lot, and I'm generally like a person who tries to do the right thing. But man, do I complain? Like like if I like I'll do the right thing, but I'll make you hear about it. You know,
Yeah.
if I do something nice. And so this is like leaning into that to like the 100th degree. Like this is a character who's like has a begrudging moral compass, but he hates it. You know,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the
What
core
is it
concept.
they say later? Like, shouldn't he just do the right things because it's the right thing to do?
Yeah, shouldn't he
Like,
just do the right thing because it's right? Like, for a normal person, sure. Like,
yeah, like, shut up, you stupid kids.
yeah,
And then here's the continuation of your of your first
yeah.
comic.
It's
And
like an epilogue, but it's also the first. Like, we plan to do a full second issue. Like, this is the
okay.
first 10 pages of what will be like. This might be the full comic you see first. Like, depend because I want to try to hopefully have attention on this and be able to work on these as pitches somewhere. But this one we could do tomorrow. Like
Oh
I've
wow.
already written the next 10 pages of what would be a 30 another because the first one was split into three acts from different perspectives, and that's how this one would be.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is sort of like an epilogue as well as like starting a new chapter for a couple of these characters. We'll kind of continue on. I always liked this character a lot. Like he was sort of the I don't want to say I don't think there was really a bad guy in the first book aside from like police violence and gentrification, you know,
Hmm.
so we're like the bad guys. But there was like a misunderstanding. And this character was originally going to be the bad guy. And at that time I was reading Stray Bullets, the David Lapham comics. And
Yeah.
if you've read those, like there's no generic bad guys. Like they're all interesting. And so I wanted to try to do something like that. And the end result was a character who started as a bad guy who ended up being like my favorite character, and he's another grumbling guy. Like so like I feel like I'm drawn to these guys who grumble and complain a lot. Like is my lane.
Is
I
this
can't be.
is this the guy that's supposed to look a little, you know, Brody, right? Like Brody Cole?
Yeah, he's Brody Cole. No, this is not based on him. Brody
But
Cole is
you kind of drew someone who looked like him in
he's
the
in next door in the
okay.
background reading a comic. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He's
Okay.
walking down the street reading a comic in next door. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know because he told me he was like yeah like I think I'm in that book and
He's in it.
I
Yeah,
was
he's
like the one of
100%
the
in it.
guys is like kind of longer hair with a little string. I was like I don't, but I was like did are they that tight where you're like making Brody your main character? I was like
No, yeah. Well, he's friends with Pat Scott, the artist, as well.
oh
So
okay
that was Pat was gonna put him in. Pat drew him in the background walking down the street reading a comic
okay.
in one panel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in the first one. Maybe we'll bring him back in the second one. I don't know. But, but like
I told him I'd try and hook him up. No, I'm kidding. I told him I was just talking to him earlier and I was like, oh yeah, Zach's gonna be on this show tonight, and he was like, oh, the new book looks good, and I was like, yeah, did you back it? No, I'm kidding. I was like, show me your
no,
receipt, Brody. No.
you should be telling people that.
Yeah,
No,
we
no
can pull up the
pressure.
backer list. We'll find out who didn't back this thing. No.
No pressure. It's already
Yeah,
funded. So
yeah,
but anyone who does want to back it, please. I think the book's amazing, and it will also help me immediately make more of these comics. But
yeah. And after reading a couple of what Zach's done now, I want him to keep making comics, and I would love to see some of these shorts get blown up into one or two or three or something issue, right?
thank you,
Like,
man. Yeah. I want to do the one. I mean, we could talk later about future plans, but the Werewolf Priest one, like I would love to do more of that one in particular out of all these, I think.
I
But
would love like
yeah.
I have not laughed at a panel like that in a minute, dude. Like that for real guy, like he's trying to vote. Like, oh,
I
dude.
love that you love that joke because like I don't want to spoil the last panel in that comic, but people tend to like key in on that, you know. But
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite joke is when the Border Patrol agents cut loose about the werewolf priest, which I won't spoil, but that
Yeah.
is my favorite joke. I'm glad you enjoyed that one.
No,
So
it's very, it's very good. And then here's the jump in the shark kind of that we talked
Yeah.
about earlier. Which is, as we talked about, like it's hard to pick trends and stuff, and like what's going on right now. That this happens to be coming out right now. Street Shark action figures are coming back.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are live for those, and I feel like it's a hop, skip, and a jump away before Dynamite or somebody's like Street Shark's #1 coming this fall.
I can't believe it hasn't happened yet. Like, yeah.
Go to your local comic book shop and take a bite out of this pre-order.
Covers.
Hire me, Dynamite. There's going to be 45 covers, one for every breed of shark in God's given ocean. Right? I don't know how many actual sharks are around, but
sounds right to me. I don't know.
I'm not a scientist, but that feels right. But yeah, this was a cool the Omega Brain, and okay,
Omega
and you
Brain,
know
yeah.
what I really liked about the Omega Brain is that there's a really cool. We don't even see it in the preview. Pages here.
I've obscured it kind of.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Well, I won't say too much, but I will say as both Zach and I talked about, like when you start doing this as press, you really got to do it because you love it, and the people that love. There is a magic in comic books, and I think part of that magic is everybody's love for the medium. I think another element of that magic is when like sometimes several different artists and a writer come, like a colorist, ink or pencil, like sometimes all these different elements come together. Sometimes it's one artist and a letterer and then an editor and then a production team, right? And then if you want to even expand farther, right, the people that are running the printers and the fulfillment centers and the people shipping stuff, right? And then it's so many things have to happen to make comic books happen. And so the fact that like they come out every week is kind of phenomenal. And
it's a magic trick.
It's
an actual magic trick. Every comic has ever been made.
Magic.
Yeah.
And
like that's what you learn when you start trying to make them is it's a miracle that every one of these gets made because there's so many moving parts, you know, like, and it takes so much time that you could be doing other things with. You could be working on a day job or whatever it is. Like, like it's a miracle that as many comics get made as they do, and every single one of them is an accomplishment.
But yeah, it was very cool the way you talked about the magic of comic books in that story, and there was a lot of there's tons of charm, right? This book is packed with charm. It's packed with humor. As you've seen, it's even more packed with phenomenal art and colors. But this final chapter, like this last short, there's some unexpected feels, and I thought the placement of it was very smart because the tongue-in-cheek humor, some of the commentary that you sprinkled throughout the narratives of like your journey as press, your journey as a writer, your journey into comic book creation. You know, there's a little bit of comment because it's not I love this industry. I love everything about it. It's so far from perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some tongue-in-cheek critiques going on, right? And then, but how do you end it? You end it by reminding us that like, you don't, you know, like your wife and your dog, right? And then comics is if they're up there, right? And
that's probably the ranking, yeah. 1, 2, and 3.
But yeah, I thought it's like structurally and thematically, and I thought the message really came through.
This one only could have been last. Like it kind of functions as an end cap on the rest of the book, and it's like as earnest as I get in this book. Like it's a really honest, like it's about sharks and apes fighting, so it sounds funny to say it, but it's a really emotional, honest story for me. So like, and it took me forever to write that one. Like I started writing that one on the plane home from San Diego Comic-Con in July. And I think I contacted PJ about it in November. So I wrote a different short in there that hasn't been published yet and hopefully will be this year somewhere else. But that one took me, I don't know, months, man. Like I labored over every detail of that one. It was the only script I like brought to my wife too, and it was like, can you read this and give me some feedback? Like I need some help with this, you know. But yeah, that I was really pleased with that one. And PJ Holden, to get him to draw that, like I feel like not enough people in the United States know who he is, like, and more should, but he's done incredible like work for 2000 AD, some war comics with Garth Ennis, and he's doing more DC stuff. But man, what an artist! Like, I love the art in that story, and he drew it in so it took me that much time to write. He drew it in like 12 days, like
Whoa.
start to finish. It was wild. I couldn't believe it.
I would
Yeah.
I would love to be able to buy that last page. It's just so
I love
ridiculous.
that last page, and I haven't shown it anywhere. There's
Yeah.
maybe 10 people who've seen it so far, and you're one of them. So,
Oh, nice,
but yeah,
nice.
I love the last panel. Like we're being vague. We can't really talk
Yeah.
about it, like, because it spoils a lot. But like the last panel cracks me up so hard. Like
It's the last panel's good, but yeah, that the whole when I turned to that, I was like, "Are you serious?" I was just like,
it
"Wow."
really takes a turn there.
It really does. And then the last panel takes another turn, right? And it's like,
I hope to do more of that someday too,
nice.
and it would be totally different than this 7. That one's 7 pages. It's one of the shorter ones. It is the shortest comic in the book,
Okay.
but I hope to do more. I hope to do more of the apes and sharks concept with a totally different theme and like goal in mind.
Oh,
Probably in the second volume, you'll see more of that one. But
very cool.
yeah.
And then as we talked about some of these amazing covers, right? So like, I mean, man, these are good. These are so good.
Oh yeah,
And
John McCrae, like unbelievable, and PJ kind of connected us, so I don't even think we'd have that without
oh
him
wow,
doing it.
really?
So yeah, yeah, like he did those Hitman comics with Garth Ennis that I read as a kid, probably a
Yeah,
little too young, but like, but I've always loved his work, and like I kind of gave him a list of the stories we had, and he immediately was like, "No, Werewolf Priest, like here it is, like
nice.
that's what I'm doing." So
And like the best colorist in comics working on it too,
yeah, they
right?
were packaged deal. Like he asked me like, "Do you mind if I work with my colorist Mike Spicer?" I was like, "Oh, no, no, no,
Oh, so
please."
that
Like,
okay, because Maria Wolf has something similar. Like pretty much like almost everything she does, like he colors her, like he almost exclusive, like all her Marvel covers and stuff. Like
yeah,
he's
he
like they're tied, they're connected, I guess.
yeah, yeah, that same deal. I mean, he wanted to work with him, and like I'm not gonna say like
Yeah,
like I love Mike Spicer's
yeah, I
colors.
would
Like,
love to put Mike Spicer's name on the cover or anywhere on my comic book that I could.
right? Yeah, yeah,
That's
definitely.
that's a selling point. Like because there's some of these guys, right? There's a handful of letters, people know by name, unfortunately, right? There's a handful of colorists, right? That people know by that
But
most
both of those
traditional
jobs make
people.
such a big difference to the final
Dude,
comic.
insane,
Like we're gonna and
insane.
in the deluxe edition, it has 12 pages of process.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect bound. That's this cover, the Raoul Allen cover. But that'll have 12 pages of process. Like it'll have the script page on one side, and then you'll see inks, colors, letters on the other. So you
Nice.
can kind of see the choices, because I think every colorist in this book made choices that changed the story, like for the better, and heightened it. And you'll be able to see that in the 60-page version.
Was that trickier because of how close you are to the subject matter and this specific book, these specific stories? Even when like a lot of these artists are people you respect, you're so excited to work with. Is there ever any kind of hesitation? I mean, because obviously you don't want to be like, it's my way or the highway, Nick
Yeah,
Cagney, right? But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but like, are you ever worried like, oh, what if they want to change something and make it and it sucks? Like what?
So
Right?
like, I mean, I am worried at every step of this. I'm naturally a concern. Like I care so much about these stories that like I'm all like I worried the whole time something was gonna go wrong with this book. But like I think that what I was talking about earlier and all the work I put in before even contacting them to make sure that they like kind of were a good fit for the individual story meant that like they made choices that surprised me at times, but I don't think I had a single note for any of the artists to change anything after their pencils came back.
Oh wow.
I rewrote. I mean, I would do a pass with my script every time I got inks back. I'd go through it and maybe change dialogue here and there, captioning. But like the choices they made only added to it. Like honestly, like I was really fortunate that way. I don't think it's always the case. Like maybe I chose to work with all them in advance. So like I
Mm,
got to do that legwork ahead of time where I didn't need to do that, thankfully. Like we weren't any of us thrown together.
okay. Oh, and then you can get the deluxe digital as well.
Yeah, there's PDFs of both of them. I mean, I think it's $4 more for the process stuff.
Okay.
And that one has pinups of the other covers too. So
Oh,
you
nice.
buy that one, yeah.
Like back in the day, I used to be like, I didn't really get into the process stuff. And then I like essays from creators, but I've learned to read those after I read the book because
Right. Yeah.
some things I've been like, I didn't want to know that yet, or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, then like there was a time when I was like, like cover gallery would have been cooler. But like I got once I started like getting more into writing and stuff, like I went back and like some of those like nicer hardcovers I have, right? Like pulling them off and like looking at script pages and kind of like seeing how
Yeah.
people format stuff. And like I was like, oh man, like did not think I would, like I didn't think I would be needing this. And now did you end up doing that for like going back
Yeah.
reading old scripts or?
I had a similar journey with that. Like I said from the beginning, I always kind of wanted to write comics, so I was always sort of interested in script pages in particular.
Okay.
But like, yeah, once I started like writing and seeing my ideas, like how they would show up with artists, like I had a whole different relationship to like reading those process material. But like the two things I always look for in hardcovers are script pages, and then I want to see what the inks looked like before colors and after. Like I really like
Oh,
that
okay.
that process because like man, like two different colorists can change the book so like
Mm-hmm.
drastically. They they do things so differently.
And then I can't remember who was talking about it. That's like some image was going around and they were talking about how like for superheroes, like just
Oh,
regular flat colors kind
flat
of look
color versus non-flat color.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I really, it did make it pop. Like, and then it's crazy because then you go look at like, By the Horns is a comic I love that has amazing colors in it. Right. And
Yeah.
like, and some of this, like when they start doing like magical effects and like the sunsets and how they can like blend and enrich these color and like so much stuff that they can do digitally that they couldn't do, a while or that some people can't do that can't reproduce without digital. Some people can't. I don't know. People are good at. I'm not going to go
I
into like digital
there's
versus physical, but
there's border patrol sirens in the Werewolf Priest story, like the
yeah,
glare coming off the siren that like I kind of want to email Brad and ask him how he Brad Simpson color that. Like I want to
yeah.
send him an email like when we get off this chat and ask him how he did that. Like I've been wondering about it for like 8 months.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
But they look so good. Like it looks like the glare is coming right off the page. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it
Yeah.
it it, it really does pop. But yeah, it's colorist that it's so much more than like tone and vibe because it really does that. I don't like again like going back to what you said about the magic of comics and it like when you throw in a lot of blues or like if you read Distillery's New Somna, right? And like when it's getting sexy and it gets a little more orange and a little more warm and you're like, am I sweating? And you're like, and it's just like
Uh-huh.
it literally kind of heats up or or when a character goes cold or a part something's silent or somber and then those like blues come in and it's like it's so weird how like they can produce like a tranquility or in a different circumstance like a sadness and
Yeah.
that's all just like I mean there's everything's coming together too, right? But those colors like trigger that like the the lizard brain, right? Is like
Uh,
it goes into that like that primal deal and yeah.
well, yeah, and it can do tension like that newsroom page we were looking at earlier. I think it leads up to like a tense phone call at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that tension's already there from the colors, like
Oh yeah.
the muted greens, and it's like kind of eerie.
Yeah, and heavy inks in a already dark page, right? Like
Yeah. Oh, those
it works
inks are
real well.
incredible. Yeah.
And then the smile when and we showed it. I'm not spoiling, but the smile, right? When you see that one, yeah, that was
Yeah.
good.
The voice on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that. I
yeah.
like that. I remember in an early Hellboy comic, there's like a moment where it cuts those. Have you read a lot of Hellboy?
Just I've read the first omnibus. I like it.
This might be in there where it cuts to a bunch of guys in space doing some stuff, like and like McNult. Like there's just a moment in an early Hellboy comic where he's like being monitored by guys in space, and they don't explain it for years. Like it ends up being its own volume much later down the line. But I love that, and so like I wanted to do something in that story where it's like we don't really go back to that voice on the phone, not in those first 8 pages, but like I have plans for it later, and I wanted to like seed some stuff. There's actually a couple
nice.
moments in that 8 page werewolf priest story that I have plans for. Like there's that big live oak tree behind where the priest gets bit by the dog that's like significant. Won't give that
Okay,
away. Yeah.
nice. I appreciate stuff like that. I don't always catch it
Yeah, me
Unfortunately.
neither. But I love like when the creator tells you like a year later, like, did you notice this? And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, like you said we both love Bendis, and like I didn't realize till well after I read them, like the Bendis Daredevil and the Bendis Alias,
Yeah,
like there's a couple crossover moments where like the characters like cross paths, or there's one where the like Black Widow walks into it's not Matt's office, it's her office, I think, right? Maybe, or but Luke Cage is there, and like there's like this weird interaction happens, and then in the Daredevil comic you see that interaction and it leads to another scene, and I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and I think that happens two or three different times.
I
And
love that's like unique to comics stuff that you can do, you know? Like I love
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, it doesn't work the same in like even in like the MCU or shared universe TV series stuff. Like you're kind of, you get
It
like an
moves by
aha
so
moment.
quickly in those things, and
Yeah,
you don't go back to look at it, you know?
that's
Some people
okay.
do. Some people rewatch that stuff, but I don't.
Yeah, who's got? I don't know. Good for you if you got time to rewatch TV. Good God.
Yeah,
Like people
yeah,
are like,
yeah.
I'm going to start The Office again. I'm like, I'm just trying to find time to make dinner. And I'm just like,
Got
like,
8 people waiting on emails right now.
right? Yeah, right. Like, like as soon as we get off this, I gotta proof a proof and send it to the creator and make sure like I gotta make sure all the tails aren't fucked and like
Yeah, no, and I have to work on that top comics column for the beat I mentioned. It
nice.
goes live at 11 a.m. tomorrow, and I need to read like eight more comics before I even settle on my list. So, but
heavy
that's good work. It's
heavy
good
is
work.
the head that
Yeah,
wears
that's
the
right.
crown.
It wields a very small amount of power.
And then yeah, you got some like I said earlier, some great pull quotes. Alex
Very
Segura,
generous of all these people. Yeah.
who's about to be working on Dick Tracy, and also a great novelist. Chris Cantwell, Iron Man. Chris will give anybody a pull quote. I'm just kidding. I love you, Chris. But that's awesome. And then I mean, saying very Texas from him too, right? Like
He's the Texas guy. Yeah.
that's a good place to be. Dave, praise from David's always good. Love DB. Who
We
just got that
actually
new
funny
resume.
about he and I went to the same comic book store in Sacramento before we were even he'd been writing indie comics, but he hadn't done his vault book yet. But we would like running into each other on Wednesday after work at
Oh,
Big Brother
really?
Comics in Sacramento, California. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
wish
even know
I
his
had.
name. We would just say hi like for a
Oh,
long
you did.
time.
Oh, so you didn't know? Like neither of you knew. You just were like, "This is a shop
No,
guy."
no, yeah, he was just another guy I'd run into at the store all the time. And then they have this thing in Sacramento called CrockerCon. It's really, really cool. It's like it's only Sacramento creators, and it's at the art museum there once a year. And he was tabling there, and I was like, "You're that guy from the store." And I bought his comic. His like he did an anthology with a bunch of different stuff before he published Resonant, and that's how
Hmm,
kind of got to know him.
nice. Yeah, I keep hoping one day. Like, I mean, I don't go to. I heard Jason Aaron used to go to this Elite Comics here in Kansas City. That was many years ago, right? So he probably isn't at the comic book shop every Wednesday anymore. Like, probably.
Yeah,
Or maybe he is. I don't know. But like, I just like it'd be so cool to just be like, oh yeah, I run into Jason sometimes at the store, you know. And like,
yeah.
but it probably wouldn't be cool because I'd be like, remember when you said you'd do a longer interview? You'd be like, leave, go to another Hy-Vee, Blake. I'm done with you. He did tell me.
I'm
I
sure he
can't-
meant that. He
Yeah.
wants to do a longer interview. Why
Well,
wouldn't he?
well, yeah, he also is like he told me he was like IDW's got me talking to everybody. I'm busy. He's like,
That's the
It-
thing. Like what a lot of the creators working on licensed stuff, it's like they do have like their schedules are nuts to me. Like I don't,
yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't. All your guys' schedules are. I mean, once you start anybody that deals with deadlines, like it's all power to you. That's a crazy road just in and of itself. Also love Easton Taverna, by the way. That
Yeah.
I still.
Kickstarter guru. He gave me so much advice on
Oh,
he looked at
cool.
my tiers ahead of time. Like so yeah, he was really helpful with all this. He's a great friend too.
He's good people. He taught me how to edit. He didn't know he did, but him and
Yeah.
he did. I was obsessed with Samurai Grandpa, right?
It's so
And-
good. Yes, it's so
and-
much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and
Love
like
Samurai Grandpa.
Sean's art too. Like, oh god, like anyway, they were on the show and Easton's internet sucked. And so like, we're in this Zoom call and he like cuts out and then he tried to get back in. I was talking to Sean and we're like, and then and then like Easton couldn't get back in. And then I had to like leave, start a new Zoom meeting, send out invites. And then
Chaos.
So I was running or trying to run a real tight release schedule early days. Right. So I was like, this podcast has to get out on Wednesday. And so like, of course I was like, I'll do it Tuesday night. And, I had to like cut and stitch and put these like different pieces of audio together, like where Easton like left and came back. And I remember, man, I went to bed at like 4:45.
Yeah, that had to take hours.
Oh yeah. It was, I went to bed almost 5 a.m. and had to work at 10.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then, then Easton later like listened to it, and he's the only person I think that's like ever like listened to one of my shows after he was on it. Right. Like, or at least like, let me know that he did, but he was like, oh my God, dude. It was like, I just left and came back. It was so natural. You did such a good job. And I wanted to be like, yeah, it took 5 hours.
I did not sleep.
You and your stupid internet, Easton DeVerna. No, I love him too. And
get better internet, Easton.
Yeah, you and your fancy farmland, get better Wi-Fi.
He may have better internet now.
He may, yeah.
It's been a while.
He's been on my show. He was on my show a couple more times and we didn't have an issue. And then we did a Twitter Spaces one night. I got pretty drunk. I don't remember everything about that Twitter Spaces with Easton DeVerna and Marcus. I think it was fun.
Probably.
I tried to record it too. I had like my cell phone on a stand and I had like my mic right next to the cell phone and had it on had the speaker volume on and it sounded bad. I was like, that's not how professional recording works.
And now look at you. You have a whole studio there.
Yeah, right. Moving up. By the way, I also love that John Lees gave you a good pull quote.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite descriptions of the book is enjoyably maintain a tone of inspired lunacy. I think that's dead on.
Yeah, it's good.
Like that really sums it up.
He's
enjoyable
so
tone of
funny.
inspired lunacy.
Oh, and then I didn't see the Michael quote. Nice. Like,
I had to send him the Goldman story because I don't think it would exist without Barbaric. Like,
oh yeah,
like yeah, like I love Barbaric. Just the way, like, I've always liked how I think Michael does a lot of really like takes comics seriously, but also has fun with them. Like he's one of those writers, and that I really look up to.
Thanks, Harrison.
But yeah, I had to send him the Goldman story instantly. What's up, Harrison?
Yeah, that's cool. Another him and another Dick Tracy. You're just got all the good Mad Cave guys are back in this book. Like,
yeah, man. Well, yeah, everybody's working with Mad Cave these days.
It's gonna be a Mad Cave release later, maybe.
Everybody's working with Mad Cave these days, and everybody's talking. Everyone has a lot of good things to say about it.
Yeah,
so,
they sent a few people out to Kansas City and they did their 10-year panel with Cullen Bunn and Kelly Williams. And I asked, this is like everybody's mad at Scout. Everybody's freaking out. All these new stories are coming out. Right. And all these creators are talking about like Mad Cave 10 years and how great it is to work there. And they like open the panel to the audience. Right. So like, I'm sitting here, I am Press McGee in the front row. I'm like, and all of them know me, right? They're like, okay, Blake. And I do this thing at cons and it's so stupid, but I don't know. I don't know why I do it, but I'm like, oh yeah, Blake at Blake's Buzz. And I do that.
Do you say Buzz also?
No, maybe I should. Blake at Blake's Buzz, Buzz babies.
Yeah.
What do you guys say? But I asked him, and I was like, everybody has great things to say about you guys. Everybody seems to love working with you guys. And like all these other publishers just can't figure out like how to treat people and how to treat their creators. And I was like, I was like, basic human decency isn't like a secret, but like, what's the secret? And the vice president of Mad Cave was like, and Cullen Bunn goes, well, it is an open panel. And I was like, come on. I was like, it wasn't that intense of a question, but like, it was just, it's sometimes when you're like, everybody's like, every indie publisher is like out for blood and like, you can't trust anybody. And then like, here's like Mad Cave, and it's like the door, like I feel like doors at Mad Cave open, and they like that divine golden light pours out, and like angels sing, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's what working at Mad Cave is like.
That's the way some people talk about it. Yeah, that's like really refreshing. I mean, there's been some bad experiences lately, so
Yeah.
not that surprising. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, and so many people are, coming here to crowdfunding, and, like you've already been here, and now you're making your footprint even, leaving a bigger footprint, that's a better way to say it.
Yeah, I
you know,
hope so. I'm hoping to top. So like we already topped the funding we had, but I'd really like we had 327 backers somehow on the first book
oh,
for
wow.
a neighborhood crime comic. Yeah, I think like I said, it was that August 2020 thing. Like everyone was home that summer,
Yeah.
But I'd love to get this book to more people than that one got to, because like this, like not to criticize the other book, but this one's so much better. It's like this one's
It's so much different,
everything.
too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it is great. I loved your first one. I really did. I was
I
happy to
did
back
too.
it.
And like that's why we have the epilogue in this one, because I've always really liked that book and I'm very proud of that book and I want more people to read it. So my hope is that like people will read the first, there's a little like quick recap of the first comic in Next Door Part 2 here, but my hope is that people will go to Gumroad or what's the other one? Global Comics. It's on both of those.
Oh,
And
nice.
they'll read it. Yeah. So that's my hope, that it brings more people to the original Next Door too. Because like I said, I was really, really proud of that comic and I want more people to read it. And actually, because like I felt that one took us like a year to make from the time it funded, like maybe 9 months.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, if I'm going to do another one of these Kickstarters, I'm going to get the whole book done now, so that like day the campaign ends, or as soon as we get the thank yous in the PDF, it goes out to backers while like excitement is peaking,
Mhm.
and then we can get the physical copy to them. Like really all it's going to depend on is the printer schedule. Like we
Yep.
have a printer lined up. John J. Hill, who did the logo, is also doing book design, so it should look really good, and he knows what he's doing. He does all Jimmy Palmiotti's Kickstarter stuff.
Oh,
um,
yeah.
so we should be able to get it to the printer fast and fulfill fast. Like that's the hope. And
That's
then
cool.
get more people talking about it, reading it, and like if I have like 6 months from now people being like, where's the next one, I'll be ecstatic.
Hard pressed to say your backers, especially those returning, but even new backers, like I don't know how you read these and not at least fall in love with one short, if not several of them. There's different kinds of horror. There's great humor. There's a lot of wonderful humanness, and then there's even some dark fantasy for like some fantasy nerds out there. Like the
Yeah.
only thing you missed, man, you should have thrown a little thrown a little like Event Horizon sci-fi horror in there. Maybe the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe the next one.
Well, I started Sharks vs. Apes started being more like it was going to be in space and stuff, and that kind of I was like, it's a little much. I couldn't get it to work. So that was going to be the sci-fi story, and then it just turned into like apes and sharks fighting.
I like how you had to like ground the ape versus shark story. You're like, this is too much. Like we gotta have it in planet. Like
Putting them in space, ridiculous. Like let's get these sharks and apes fighting on the ground.
In a jungle, you're like, I can see it.
Yeah.
No,
this
but
is
it
where,
does.
this
You
is
can
right.
see it. It works. Like whatever reason had you like, I don't know. Like thinking about it in space seems cool, but I love what I read. I really do, man. Like
maybe the next one will be in space. We'll see, because I still had that feeling that they should be in space. So maybe we'll get them there.
Well, hey, if it's an itch, you can't scratch, then you just got to ride it out, right? You gotta.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have a favorite out of all these? If I put you on the spot.
Honestly, I honestly think my favorite was the frame with the kids in the
Oh,
bookcase.
cool. Yeah. I mean, when we do the sequel, if we get enough to do the sequel, that's definitely continuing. Like, you will see the aftermath of what happens in the frame and what comes next. Yeah.
But second, like main story favorite was I'm with you, the werewolf. Like I was raised Catholic and went to private school.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
anytime,
Me too.
Like, nice. So yeah, like you like that religious horror, shady priest, know, like werewolf priest, even very Stephen King. I'm all about it. Let's go. Let's party. Right. Silver bullet it out, baby. Yeah, it was good. But I mean, all good. All very, very strong. I did enjoy your first comic. I'll totally say, I think some of the writing is leveled up.
Thank you,
You're
man. I
trying
would
some new
hope so.
stuff. Yeah.
It's been a while, you know.
And you're just, you got kind of tricky with a couple, kind of tricky, kind of meta. And, when you get kind of tricky and kind of meta, it's like sometimes you want your audience to feel challenged and stupid, but you can't like call your audience stupid, right? So you have
I
to like,
definitely
it's a
wasn't
fine
trying
line.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, but it made you, in some of these stories where it does feel like, oh, good comic fun and you can follow it. But if you read a little closer and if you think about it, if you've had any experience in the industry, there's some layers that you can kind of get into here. And also, just like I said, knowing what I know about you, there's some of you as a writer in person in here to unpack as well. And
There's
so,
a
yeah.
lot of me in this book. Yeah, like it's a very honest book. And there's a lot of inside jokes about the blog, if you remember it, and my old like Twitter personality, like I think comes through
Mhm.
there. Um, but like with the twist, like I think there's like a twist to each of them. And did you see the Fablemans, the Steven Spielberg movie?
I have not, no.
There's this part at the end, I don't want to spoil it too much, but David Lynch plays John Ford and he gives him one piece of creative advice. And he's got this painting and he says, if the horizon's up here, it's interesting. If the horizon's down here, it's interesting. If the horizon's in the middle, it's boring as shit. And so that's what I was thinking about with each of these stories. Like,
Wow.
don't have the horizon in the middle. Like always get it up or down and do something a little different and make it interesting. And I think to my liking, I accomplished that with each of these shorts.
Nice. Yeah, I want to put you on the spot now for just a second though. Like, on that note, or like any like creator advice, like from your industry connections to meeting people, doing interviews, written interviews, cons and stuff. Like any big creator advice that was ever given to you over that time that stuck with you and echoed in your rattled around your brain when you were making comics?
I mean, it all helped, right? Like it all helped. All the press I did made me take the comics I was reading more seriously, and also more importantly, I think kind of peel back the veneer so it's like to just understand the process around them that's like not polished necessarily, and the industry has a lot of rough edges and it's people doing their best because they love it. Like, I mean, almost especially in indie comics, everyone's doing it because they love it, right? Like nobody would rather be in another field for the most part. So like
Mm-hmm.
doing the press really helped me understand that. But
Okay.
then like it also put me in spaces that I wouldn't have been in. Like I don't know how I would have started going. Like I've been to San Diego Comic Con 3 or 4 times and have met a ton of creators and had casual conversations there. And I wouldn't have been in that space without doing press, right? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone out there. So it's all added up. Uh, Other than that, I mean, I've had creators I know look at scripts and like give me advice about what to do after a page turn, like kind of basic stuff like that that you think
Mm-hmm.
about, that you think you know, but you kind of need a reminder when you start writing your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like but yeah, man, I think it's all been a long education, and I tell people that like younger aspiring creators I know who are starting out just like me, really, to be honest. But I always tell them like volunteer to write reviews for somebody. Like just be active in comics in a
Mm.
way that's not entirely like focused on yourself. Like
Nice.
be working with other people, like review site editors, do interviews with creators, meet the publicists who work in these for these publishers. Just like get yourself out there.
Yeah. And if anybody
And
wants to get themselves out there, I'd love to find some people to write reviews for Geek Network. Holler at your boy. Anyway, sorry, I'd throw that out there because it's very true. But yeah, but no, I had a professor tell me that tell our class that in one of the grad classes, and he was like, because some of your classmates have more success than you are, right? Some people start getting published,
Sure.
and you're
Yeah.
getting rejection letters, right? And some people are getting their thesis published as a book deal, and you're getting rejection letters, and and it's just like it kind of, you're happy for them, but it's weird too, right? Because you're like, the teacher says I write good, but the world doesn't, and it's weird, but he said, this guy Whitney Terrell, one night, I think you guys, he was like, same thing you said, hit up some review sites, write some reviews. He was like, A, you'll get a free book. Someone's going to send you a copy of the book to read. B, like, if you're going to get if the book is good and people read the review, it's going to happen more for you in bigger publications. And he was like, 3, sometimes it's just when you're down and there's a lull, and maybe you haven't been writing as much, or maybe you've been told no a lot. He was like, whether it's in print or on a website somewhere, if you click that link or open up that, journal and see your name under an article, he was like, it's very surprising the mental adjustment that can like come from that.
There's psychology to it. Like, you feel like you're part of comics already. Like, it really helps. And it's just like, it just helps you take it more seriously, I think, and it's a giving back. Like, I always remember, getting a speech at a writers conference once about being a good literary citizen, which just meant like telling people when you like a book, writing reviews, reading for a slush pile, whatever it is. But it's just like, if you're going to be in this space aspiring to create and be like part of it, like, give back as well. And I think that's like invaluable advice no matter what you're doing.
Nice. I agree. Also, shout out to Hassel. The guy has an action figure collection that anybody would be jealous of. But yeah, Nerdy Man Room, very cool show. Just met him recently. He's a cool guy. He's one of those wrestling fans. He did a lot of
They did a big weekend.
Dude, has it like it wasn't usually like a multiple day, like WrestleMania was like a Sunday. I remember as a kid.
Yeah,
right?
when we were younger, it was always Sunday night.
These fucking kids get everything now, man.
I know.
Everybody gets a trophy. Yeah. They get whole weekends of WrestleMania.
None of them want to work.
No one wants to work. No one wants to write comic reviews. Everybody just wants to get out there and be famous on Kickstarter without trying. No,
nobody wants to write comics reviews specifically for Geek Network.
Like why? No.
I should give a shout out to Harrison too, if he's still watching. He was invaluable. Like, I bounced ideas off him like every day, man. This poor guy. Like,
advice.
Like, I was texting him like ideas constantly, and he had to put up with all that. So he was great about it, though. He was a huge help.
It's so nice to have people like that.
You need them, man, because like, you're gonna get discouraged at some point, and if you have somebody who's just around to gas you up when you're like starting to like stumble a little bit, like it's invaluable, absolutely invaluable.
I almost, folks, had to invoice Zack. He almost took. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Well, you've helped me with the campaign too, like here and there. I've DM'd you like, man, I'm like struggling with promo or whatever, and you've been helpful.
And again, like, it's funny, like, I knew from your last campaign, and because of who you were, and like, I know how respected you are in our community and stuff too. And it was just like, everybody's gonna stress, but every time I was like, I wanted to like shake you. I was like, you're gonna be fine.
I was so nervous about this thing, man. Yeah, I was so nervous about this thing. Like, I still am to an extent. Like, when you're so proud of something, you just want more and more people to get behind it and get in on it. Like,
well, and then when it starts doing well, right? Then you're like, oh wait, but like, we got 10 backers yesterday. What's that? And it's like,
I know, yeah. What happens is it's like a dopamine hit. So you'll get 10 backers and it's like, oh my God, this feels amazing. And then the next day you get 8 and it's slightly less dopamine. You're like coming down. It's like a hangover. You're like, oh, how do I adjust to only getting 3 backers today? Like, oh.
Also, Harrison says it was awful reading a great comic. Yeah, I know, right? It was like, it's like my job, Harrison. Like, when Zach's like, oh, I'd love to come on the show, and I was like, oh yeah, totally. And then Zach's like, oh, the book's done. You want to read it? I was like, fuck yeah, like, let's go. And it did.
Not everybody's like that though. Like, it's like people have a lot of comics to read, and I get it, but like, that is a hard thing. It's like when you have a finished comic, like, you don't know who's gonna be like, hell yeah, like, send it my way, and who is gonna be kind of an imposition, like.
Well, first, I always say hell yeah.
Yeah, you say hell yeah a lot. Yeah.
I don't always get to it ASAP is my
Right.
like. Sometimes you may have to like. Sometimes it'll take that. Hey, did you do like a week later? Like, would you read it? What'd you think about it? And I'm like, oh no. And then I'm like, and then I go, and then I find out it's like a WeTransfer, transfer, and then I try and download it, and the link expired.
I
And then I
hate
gotta,
that. It's
and then I
so
gotta be like,
embarrassing. Yeah.
can you send me another link? I haven't read it yet. Oh, fuck you, link transfer. I know I said I
I
was gonna
know.
watch my mouth, but you got to fix that. Is a shame trap if there ever was one. Because
I've been in that exact position so many times.
Oh, it's the
But
worst.
I've gotten better about it. When I get the WeTransfer now, I download it
You
and
just do
put it
it?
in a Google Drive, and it sits there. Yeah, so I
I need
have
to-
it. Like
I need to get better
I've
at
done
that.
exactly what you described so many times, and I had to put a stop to it.
Yeah, there's that. You're like you said, we were raised those Catholic boys, and
The guilt. Yeah.
you can't get rid of that guilt. It's there forever.
It's hard though, man. Like I get it. Like I have so like I had somebody asked for a review, and I helped the beat by coordinating reviews for them, and I had to tell them like, look, I'm doing this Kickstarter. Like I don't have time to read it in March. Like I know
Yeah.
I won't, but I can get a review up, and I got the review up, and it was good. But I still feel guilty, like that I didn't do it myself or read it myself that month. Like
Yeah.
sucks. But
My
you have a
buddy
day
John,
job, and you're trying to make comics and like do whatever else.
it's a lot.
Something's got to give.
Yeah. I have a buddy John, like, because I try, man, and I mean some nights some weeks I do 3 live streams a week, right? I try really
I know
hard.
I noticed that. I'm like, my God, does he ever take a break?
No. someone the other day, because I got the new camera, and they were like, your new camera like took off 40 pounds, dude. And I was like, no, that's stress. That's just like
I think something's wrong. Like, help me.
But my buddy John, he's an indie guy. Shout out to Part Time Comics. They're doing cool stuff. But he always jokes about how busy I am. And the other day when like I tweeted the Tom King picture, and he was like, "Oh, dude, that's so cool." He was like, "I'm so glad you could make time for Tom." And I was like, "God, you're a dick." Like he was so funny, but like that's his humor, right? But I was just like, that got me. But
that's
yeah,
funny.
but yeah, I was Tom, if you're watching, no, I'm just
watching with James Gunn. They're both
Tom and James out there watching,
hanging on every word of this interview.
Make sure you back the campaign, guys. He's working hard. But actually, all you regular people out there, and all you regular people and Jason Copeland out there, make sure you back this.
Oh man, yeah. So like, I'm in the middle 2 weeks of the campaign, and like anyone who backs, even if it's $1 right now, like you're a hero. Like, the people who back in the middle of campaigns are the real heroes. I mean, everyone who backs, it's great, but like, like in the middle of the campaign, the pledges, like even if it's just to see the little number go up $1, like man, that helps. That'll make my afternoon. So
yeah. Go give Zack $1, everybody, right now. I'll wait. But yeah, it's Zack, I know you've got a life. I hear people have them. I don't know. I've heard rumors, but I've kept you almost an hour and 45 minutes.
This was great though. It was a blast.
Yeah, honestly, I've been real stoked to talk to you.
We've known each other forever. Like I think I tried to talk you out of doing comics press originally.
I think you did a couple of
times. You caught me on a bad, like you catch me on the wrong day back then when I was like doing 4 posts a day. You'd be like, I think I'm doing comics press, and I'd be like, save yourself now.
Yeah.
Turn back.
Do you really want to ruin comics for yourself? Like,
yeah. You'll never enjoy anything again, but you've done so well, man. It's been so cool to watch you grow this thing, like, and to start doing press for comics and stuff. That's awesome. So congrats on everything.
I appreciate it. It's fun, and yeah, like I said, it's I complain a lot too, right? But if I would definitely miss it, and that's why I asked earlier. I was like, do you ever kind of miss the rat race of it all? And I was glad to hear that some of you did. But I'm also
part of me. I really miss the people like that I used to work with, like who used to write for the site and stuff. Like, there's too many to name, but like that's the part I miss the most is like working with them on pieces and stuff.
Now, do you still have alternate? Are you still going to turn the bookcase into something else, like? Or you were going to make it like a hub or something for your creative endeavors?
Like someday it'll be a place where you can order my books and like
okay,
find like like how writers have them, and ideally good SEO for me. If you search Zack Quaintance writer, like it would direct you there and show you everything I'd write. But
Okay.
that's gonna take a couple. That's gonna take. Who has the time, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah.
But the good thing about that is it'll always keep the if I'm using that website for my personal stuff, there'll always be an archive section where
Yeah.
everyone else who wrote for it can still link to their pieces and show them off if
Oh,
they need to,
cool.
like because I don't want that to all just be lost.
Yeah, that happened to me. Wix was like, "You owe us $500," and I was like, "Okay, I can't do that." And then I was like, "I'll go to Substack," and then I was like, "What?" I downloaded them, and so like I have all, but I was like, "What? I can't re-release a review I wrote 2 years ago on Substack." So I don't know. Like I have a lot of weird writing that is
Just sitting
gone
there.
now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like I've written hundreds of reviews. It's not on my current publication that's live right now. But yeah, that's cool, and I mean, you did a lot for Bookcase, and so did you. Had good writers. Like it was a cool place.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You and like Comic Book Herald, I always liked what you guys were doing. You put in a lot of extra work when other people don't. There was a lot of extra effort between both, and you did an interview with him for this too, didn't you? Like
Yeah, I did with Sean Dillon actually.
Oh, okay.
It ran on Comic Book Herald, but
Oh, okay.
Sean, very thoughtful comics journalist, one of the best, and I was honored that he would read it that carefully and ask those questions. So yeah, that was really cool, and that was during pre-launch, which really helped. I mean, we had over 200 pre-launch followers, so that really helped with the strong start. But,
Yeah, yeah. Don't
oof.
don't skimp on the pre-launch.
Oh,
It's
I did
extra work, but
7 weeks of pre-launch, and it was hard. And it's like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, people should be able to. I'm doing like interviews and I'm getting it out there. Shouldn't people be able to back it? But like, I don't
yeah.
know. I feel like it worked out well. Like to have that many, and like hopefully it'll work out well in the last 48 hours too, as this
Mm-hmm.
thing wraps up, because they'll all get that other email.
They'll get that blast, yeah.
Yep.
And any public updates and stuff you do and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Like
Yep.
oh, Kickstarter updates. How I write those all the fucking time and love it so much.
I'm trying not to do too many of those. I feel like people don't like their inboxes blown up with those. So like
Yeah,
I'm using restraint. It's hard. Like you want
yeah.
to like update people every day, like this happened, but like you don't want to like cheapen it.
Yeah. But big stuff, big unlocks, or like I don't know. I mean, we do like for one of our big clients, we do like cover drops and stuff. So I'll have to do
That's
like
great use of it. Yeah. I
yeah,
think I'm gonna do halfway and then right before and then the last week starting will probably be the
nice.
others, and I'll just everything I have I'm saving to put in there. But
That's
hopefully
cool.
I'll have a stretch goal unlocked.
Yeah, that's what you're cruising for now, right? Because you're
Yeah,
funded.
it's a ways off, but I feel like we can get to at least the first one. So, which would be better paper and a cardstock cover. So,
Nice.
help me
Yeah.
realize my dream of having a cardstock cover.
Yeah, get this guy. Hey, you want better paper for this? That's why
Who doesn't want
you.
better
Yeah,
paper? It's like,
I love when like that feeling of when you go to turn a page and you have to check twice that it's not two pages stuck together, and then you're just like, oh, that's just one page. Wow, it's a nice book, And
quality
it's
paper, yeah,
and then I'll do that every time I turn the page. It's like my body can't remember that it's just thick paper. I'm
right,
weird.
yeah.
Oh
Well, you
yeah,
don't want to miss a page.
yeah. It's like 4 Marvel omnibus pages stuck
I
together.
know, man. Yeah,
It's borderline Bible print. And
instantly
I
ripped.
still buy them. All right, I'm still that dummy who buys them every now and
Yeah, I've
then.
got some right here.
Yeah,
You can see
gotta.
the Marvel logo.
Also got some. You're like me. You started doing a lot more manga over the last couple years or so. Didn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I think I'm doing mostly just Urasawa right now. Like, so like,
what a
I've got
bummer.
Pluto,
I just
Monster.
finished Monstrous not
Yeah,
a few months ago, maybe. Good God.
so good.
I want
Yeah.
to watch the anime now, but I like to read the manga and then watch the anime.
Same, yeah. I haven't seen Monster. I watched Pluto, which was new last year, and I really liked it.
I need to watch that. I'm
It's
scared
good.
to. I watched the first episode. Pluto was you. I got that because you were.
I was a huge booster of that when I
Yeah,
read it
all
during
you
the
were talking
pandemic
about.
summer.
Yeah, you were like,
Yeah,
"This is the best thing ever." Oh my god, everybody should read that. And then what did I do? I go right to Amazon. Volume 1's $110, and I was
well,
like,
yeah, it was out of print at that time. Like,
"Yeah, it was weird."
it's back in
Manga's
print
weird.
now. Yeah,
Like, don't ever spend unless you just have fu money. But like, don't ever spend extra money on like
no,
it gets
it comes
reprinted
back into
all
print.
the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, like one of the best things I've ever read to this day. And I don't know if I would have read it if not seeing you talk about it.
So awesome. Like I read that and Love and Rockets like back to back. Like that was that
Nice.
was awesome. That was a good time.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot of good stuff. All
Yeah.
right. Well, as you can tell, I don't know how to say goodbye, and I will keep talking, Zach. So,
All right, man.
real quick, where's obviously the can't you gotta I've posted the link and it's in the comments. But like, where's the best place to obviously the bookcase, still keep that on your favorites bar, but like your
Yeah.
social media, where do you prefer to be followed?
If you're on Blue Sky, that's where I'm mostly like the old kind of stuff I used to tweet as Comics Bookcase is mostly over there, like comics recommendations, music recommendations, what movies I'm watching.
Nice.
I still have the Comics Bookcase Twitter account, like follow, like that's where, but I'm just using that for my comics work now. So I'm not doing the like kind of running narrative stuff on there anymore. Comics Bookcase on Instagram, and then please back the campaign. Please. Short link is death.comicsbookcase.com.
Nice. All right. Yeah, it's again I've read all the shorts. I've fully enjoyed this book. And I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to get to read it, because there's so much fun stuff that I would have loved to have talked about that I don't want to. I hate spoilers.
I'll come back if you want when it's out. We can go over the twist.
All right, calm down, dude. No, I'm kidding. I would love to. I had a blast talking to you, Zach. You come back here for real anytime you want, but you got to bring your dog next time. It's a rule.
Yeah, definitely. He'll just sit here and stare.
At least for a cameo.
I will next time.
All right. Well, yeah. Death of Comics Bookcase, Volume 1. The links are there. You need it. You need it in your life. All right. And I would recommend the Perfect Bound Deluxe Edition, because that's what Kickstarter is for, the deluxe comic book experience. So go all in, get it. Follow Zach, keep track of him, because, I really hope he keeps making comic books, because he is exactly what indie comics needs right now. He's talented, he's good, he's clever, and he loves the medium as much as any of the best damn nerds around us. So support this guy, support indie comics. Follow me, I guess, too, or whatever. But the Kickstarter is of main importance. And if you guys are watching this later, you got 24 days left, so you got plenty of time. Campaign's funded. It's gonna happen. It's a safe back. Like as I mentioned, he knows how to ship. You're gonna get in that Gemini mailer. You're gonna be all good. Zach, am I missing anything? Or
That's it, man.
Did I sell your book good enough for you finally?
Yeah. We'll talk off camera. No, you did great. You did great. Thanks for having me on. Thanks everyone for watching.
Oh, we got you one. I got you. You're at 176 now. I got you 2.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's go. All right, cool. I did my job. Oh man, you're close to $9,000. You're $44 away from $9,000. Look at that.
Door, man.
Cruising. All right, everybody. Zach, this was so cool for real, man. Like, I don't want to get like cheesy, but Blake's Buzz wouldn't be what it was probably if I never met you. So cool. Thanks.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Carry on the old bookcase legacy, I guess. But you're doing way better than I ever did. So.
Oh, whatever. I'm pretty sure
you had Tom King on like a couple of days ago.
Oh, I mean, he talks to anybody now. No, no,
Anyway,
I appreciate it. But yeah, everybody, for real, follow us. Back the campaign. More people back it. Love more, hate less. Read comics. Read all Zach's comics. And you better get there quick if you want. If you want to go see what he did on the last Kickstarter, because like he said, he's only got like 25 of each cover left. So you want those, you better hurry. That's all I got to say. All right. I got to shut up. All right, everybody, we got to go. I'm sorry. I love you all. Zach, I love you too, man. Like, best of luck. You're good people and you make good books.
Thanks, man. Buzz. I'm going to say
buzz, baby.